Today on r/IDontWorkHereLady, a tired nurse gets yelled at by a Karen, a man mistakes a stranger for his shuttle driver, and a hilarious mix-up at the grocery store. Let's get into it.
Some assembly required. Good luck. This happened several years ago. I was the nighttime charge nurse over the ICU. I just finished a 12-hour shift at my hospital that turned into a 14-hour shift because of a rapid response right before shift change. The patient responded well. I was exhausted and had to return for a fourth shift in 9 hours. All I wanted were some items to drop in the slow cooker so I'd have something to eat when I got up tonight. I stopped at a well-known big box store that sells groceries, clothes, electronics, the works. I'm wearing royal blue scrubs, a name badge with a big RN under it, and I forgot to take my stethoscope off, so it's hanging around my neck. The employees here, well, don't. As I'm walking toward the store, I see an elderly couple struggling to load a large box into their SUV parked at the front of the store. And I mean old. 90 plus, shaky hands, teetering around with limited mobility, the kind I see with a med list 3 pages long. There's no way his hips could take the weight without snapping, and I've worked enough tonight. I approached quickly and addressed the female half of the couple, offering help. It was gladly accepted, and I got their TV loaded with very little difficulty. It was more cumbersome than heavy. I'm chatting with the woman who's explaining it's a gift for their son and that her husband hadn't wanted to wait for help. I'd wondered why an employee wasn't helping. That's when it happened. I'll be RN, she'll be EB for entitled lady. A voice suddenly calls out, "Hey, hey!" Startled, we stop our conversation and look over. It's a lady in her 50s, dressed in a cheap-looking beige pantsuit with a get your manager hairstyle, standing about 15 feet away with a hand on her overly broad hip. Entitled lady calls out, "If you're about done, I need help over here." She then points to her cart with 2 boxes of bookshelves, some assembly required. I realize she thinks I work here. I start to explain, "Oh, sorry, I don't work," but entitled lady cuts me off sharply. "You're already making me late. Just get it done. And don't scratch my paint up." The elderly lady and I exchange looks of disbelief. And I try again. "I don't work here." Entitled lady barks, "Just get it done." She then steps away from her cart to grab her purse, grumbling about idiots, and digs for her keys when the cart rolls further away and one wheel goes off the curb. The entire uneven load causes the cart to topple over. I instinctively jump forward to try to prevent everything from falling, but I'm unsuccessful. Entitled lady, who has now turned to see her particle board bookshelves spilled out on the cement, corners of the boxes crushed and one torn open, with a few pieces and packaging now exposed, completely loses it. "What the heck? You moron! Pick them up! Gosh darn it, I'm going to have you fired. You owe me new bookshelves. And I'm late. At this point, I'm done. Pick them up yourself. I don't work here." I turn to go inside when I feel her grab my sleeve and try to yank me around. I jerked my sleeve out of her grip and turned to face her now violently red face. She opens her mouth to start screaming again, but I put my finger in her face and say, "No, don't touch me. Shut the heck up. I do not work here. And even if I did, I'd quit before I help you clean up your mess." Entitled lady stands there speechless, mouth opening and closing, sputtering in shock that I dared raise my voice at her. That's when the manager and an employee come out. As entitled lady sees the manager, she finds her voice. "Are you the manager? This man damaged my bookshelves and is refusing to pay for them." I just stare in shock. Seriously? Having realized that a man in bright blue scrubs with a stethoscope and a big RN badge really doesn't work here, instead of apologizing, she doubles down and accuses me of breaking her stuff. Before I can say anything, the elderly gentleman I'd helped earlier steps in and explains the situation to the manager. Entitled lady is still ranting, but the manager realizes what actually happened and apologizes to me and the couple. I'm still standing there angrily as the manager deals with entitled lady and inspects the bookshelves. They're not damaged. He offers her 2 new boxes, but entitled lady is now done with the whole situation. She just huffs and says, "Just load them. I'm already late enough because of this." The manager and employee then lift the boxes up and wedge them into her car. As I shake my head and go to enter the store, I'm stopped by the elderly lady I helped earlier. "Sir, thank you so much for helping us with the TV. I'm so sorry, some people are so rude." She then reaches for my hand to shake. As she folds both her fragile hands around mine, I can feel something in her palm that she's giving me. She whispers, "Don't look yet. Wait till she leaves." I slide the package into my scrub pocket, and the lady walks away. EB then gets in her car and, without apologizing or thanking anyone, peels out and drives off. I finally enter the store to grab my food items, and when I reach in my pocket, I pull out a plastic bag with a bunch of screws and hardware. I realized immediately that the sweet little old lady took advantage of the commotion to steal the hardware out of EB's ripped box. I couldn't believe it. I had the biggest grin on my face as I did my shopping, and now I have a new petty revenge hero to idolize.
This story had me grinning from start to finish. The nurse is running on fumes after a 14-hour shift, helps a sweet elderly couple, and still ends up getting yelled at by a woman who thinks scrubs means store uniform. Like, ma'am, the stethoscope wasn't a clue. What I love, though, is how Karma showed up wearing pearls. That old lady slipping the nurse a secret bag of screws. That's quiet, classy revenge. Even she was backing up OP in her own adorable way. Somewhere, that Karen is wondering why her bookshelf wobbles, and Grandma's probably sipping tea thinking, that's for yelling at my helper. And speaking of confidence gone wrong, next we've got a man who mistook a random traveler for his personal shuttle driver.
Sir, I really don't work at the airport. This happened last year when I was picking up my sister at the airport. Her flight was delayed, so I grabbed a coffee and sat near the arrival gates, scrolling on my phone. Out of nowhere, a man in a full suit comes up to me and says, "You're late. The shuttle should have been here 10 minutes ago. Where's your name tag?" I looked up, confused, and said, I don't work here. Apparently, that was the wrong answer because he snapped, "Don't play dumb. You drivers always pull this. Get up and get the shuttle." At this point, other people in the area were staring. I held up my coffee and backpack and said louder, "Sir, I am literally waiting for my sister. I don't drive a shuttle." He started huffing and puffing, muttering about lazy employees. Then an actual shuttle driver, in uniform, with the logo on his shirt, walked up and said, "Sir, I am your driver, and she definitely doesn't work here." The man turned beet red, grabbed his suitcase, and stomped off without another word. The driver gave me a wink and said, "Happens more than you'd think." Made my whole night.
Some people walk through airports like the main character in their own movie, and this guy definitely did. He spots a random woman, points, and declares she's late for his shuttle. No hesitation, no context, just pure misplaced authority. When she tells him she doesn't work there, he doubles down like he's arguing a case in court. I swear, some folks can't admit they're wrong even when the evidence is wearing a uniform right in front of them. The moment the real driver appeared and said, "Sir, that's your driver," you could almost hear the soundtrack stop. That silence? That's what embarrassment sounds like. And finally, from airport chaos to grocery store confusion, our last story proves that not every "I don't work here" moment ends with yelling. Sometimes it ends with laughter.
A woman at the grocery store thought my fiance was a worker and that he was leading me around because I was a customer. I'm blind. My fiance and I were at the grocery store yesterday. I'm completely blind, so he guides me when we go out. A woman walks up and starts to ask him where something is, then stops short and says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I can wait till you're done with her." We were both super caught off guard, so my fiance said, "Excuse me, what do you mean, done with her?" The woman starts laughing nervously and says, "Oh my God, I am so sorry. I thought she was a customer and you were helping her." All three of us burst out laughing. It was hilarious, and I could tell the lady was extremely embarrassed. Definitely one of the funniest things that's ever happened to me while grocery shopping.
Now this one's just pure comedy gold. A woman walks up thinking the fiancé is a store employee helping a customer, completely unaware he's actually guiding his blind partner. The second she realized her mistake, you just know that internal scream was loud. But instead of turning it awkward, they all laughed about it. And that's what makes this story so refreshing. No entitlement, no yelling, just a very human oops moment that everyone handled with kindness. Honestly, we need more of that energy in the world. Quick laughs, soft apologies, and people who don't take themselves too seriously. So tell me in the comments, have you ever mistaken someone for an employee? Or had someone think you worked there? I bet those stories are hilarious. That's it for today's wild ride through r/IDontWorkHereLady, where uniforms mean nothing and confidence is delusion. If that gave you secondhand embarrassment or a good laugh, give it a big thumbs up. Drop your favorite "I don't work here" moment in the comments. I want to hear your stories too. And if you're not subscribed yet, you know what to do. Hit that button, ring the bell, and I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully not getting yelled at in a Target parking lot. Bye.